Hello and welcome back everybody to another Tennshadow video. Today we are in lesson 5 of the FS Academy Jetliner training series. This lesson is about the descent, so let's get going.
Just levelling off at flight level 350 as we await further descent clearance. Let's look at how we manage descending from high altitudes. Descending an airliner from the cruise is an exercise in energy management. To descend most efficiently, we use a couple of rules of thumb that first calculate at what mileage to start our descent, and then another to monitor our progress on the way down. We're looking to start the descent at the right moment and then get us to lower altitudes as seamlessly as possible, with minimum levelling off in between. Choosing the right moment to start going down allows us to stay in the cruise for as long as possible, where we're flying most efficiently. Our first rule of thumb is to divide our flight level by 3 to get the distance at which we should start descending. If we're roughly at flight level 360, dividing by 3 gives 120. This means we'd want to start our descent when 120 miles from our destination. If we were cruising at flight level 300, dividing by 3 gives 100, meaning 100 nautical miles would be our descent point.
Makes sense.
You can quickly estimate our miles to go by looking at the range arcs on the navigation display. At the moment, we have about 130 nautical miles to go, so we know we'll need to start descending in roughly 10 miles.
Okay.
Of course, this calculates only when we would ideally begin descending, but ATC requirements and other traffic will complicate matters. Jetliner 488 requests further descent.
Jetliner 488, roger, call you back, traffic below.
It's very common to have to delay descent if there is another aircraft passing underneath us, or to keep us within controlled airspace. In this case, we turn our attention to energy management, which is the control of the aeroplane's inertia. Reducing our airspeed in anticipation of a descent reduces our energy and allows us to trade altitude for speed once we do start descending. Use the Speed Mac button to switch back to speed mode and select 230 knots.
Jumped ahead again. Oh, no, I didn't. There we go. 230.
The thrust now comes back and we decelerate, losing energy. Now that we're travelling less quickly, we're covering fewer miles whilst we wait for further descent clearance and can wind the speed back up again once we start going down. Just like open climb, open descent sets idle thrust and uses pitch to achieve our target speed. Starting slow and then setting a higher speed target once we start descending will make the nose drop and give us a steeper descent angle, regaining our desired profile.
Jetliner 488, descend flight level 200.
Descending flight level 200, Jetliner 488. Okay, set 20,000 in the FCU altitude window and pull the alt knob. Now see how the auto thrust sets idle power and the nose is lowered in open descent mode. With a low airspeed, our drag is also relatively low, giving only a moderate descent rate.
It's not descending at all. Did I do it the wrong way? I must have did it the wrong way. There, now we're descending.
Now increase the selected speed to 290 knots and see what happens.
Okay, coming up on 290.
With idle power, the nose is lowered further to achieve our target speed, increasing our descent rate.
Wow, we're
Rather
going
than
down
using
fast.
the speed brakes, this is the more efficient way of descending more quickly, saving fuel and reducing both vibration and noise. Conversely, if you want to shallow off the descent, reduce the speed target and the nose will be raised. Let's try this. Select a speed of 270 knots. The nose is raised to slow us to our lower speed target, and our vertical speed reduces a lot at first. Now that our target speed is reached, the nose will lower slightly to maintain this new speed, but our vertical speed will be a little less than before. If you want to reduce your descent rate but don't wish to decelerate, you can also consider using vertical speed mode. We're going to be entering the cloud, so let's turn on the engine anti-ice.
All right. Done.
Modern airliners have some advanced flight management systems on board, which help to maximize the efficiency of the descent planning. The Managed Descent Profile, or VNAV, on Boeing aircraft calculates the descent path appropriate to the current flight plan routing. It considers many factors such as wind conditions, speed limits, and altitude requirements. The aim is to keep us as high as possible for as long as possible, to keep us in the thinner air for longer, improving efficiency. The predictions can be very accurate, however one aspect it can't predict is when ATC gives us shortcuts. It is quite rare at most airports that an entire arrival routing will be flown, as it's usually more efficient and time-saving to provide a shorter route to landing. This can leave you vulnerable to having to struggle with high speeds and using the speed brake to lose altitude quickly enough after having your expected routing shortened considerably. This means it's best to use the flight computers as just another tool to help you, along with your rules of thumb, rather than trusting them completely. Now that we've calculated when to commence our descent, we use another rule of thumb to monitor our progress. It's very similar to our first rule of thumb, but starting with the distance instead. This time, we'll multiply our estimated distance to go by 3, giving us our target flight level. If we expect 80 miles to go, 80 times 3 equals 240. We would want to be at flight level 240.
We're below that.
Let's say we get a shortcut and now only have 70 miles to go. We can quickly work out that we should be at about flight level 210. This method works well, but it's up to you to use what you're most comfortable with. Continue flying us towards Barcelona and use the rules of thumb to control our descent on your own without any ATC. Manage your own descent, going down as and when you feel it is right to. I'll update you as we go with the mileage remaining and the altitude you should be at, so you can compare your descent planning with the ideal.
Alrighty. So, let's see here. Plummel needs speed 18, so that should start me down. Which I don't think I'll make it. So let's bump the speed to 290.
As we pass Pumal, we have 60 miles to go. 60 times 3 is 180. That means you should be at roughly flight level 180.
Yep. Let's slow it down again back to 270. Now we got to go down to 150. Let's change the range. So we're 10 miles out. for EVGA.
At Berga, we have 50 miles to run. 50 times 3, 150. So that's flight level 150.
Okay, next altitude is 9,000. And that one is about 20 miles, so we're kind of good where we're at right now. Don't need to go any faster.
We're arriving at waypoint Mammoth, giving us 30 miles to go. That's a target of flight level 90.
We made it.
Descent management comes with experience and practice. It works with any aircraft type, so once you get the hang of it, you can use this skill in all sorts of scenarios. We'll leave it there for now and return once we're starting to configure for the approach into Barcelona.